It's about faith to believe. It's about hope to receive. It's about love to give life. It's about transplant life with me, Ms. Vinnie. Hey everyone, it's Ms. Vinnie. You know, April is National Donate Life Month. And during this month, we honor all who have given the gift of life through organ, eye, and tissue donation. When someone is in need of a life-saving organ transplant, love rushes in to rescue them. The kind of love that it takes to be a dedicated medical professional and fight to help others survive. The kind of love that it takes to be a living kidney donor, like Cedric Halbert, who generously gave his brother Ernest a kidney to save his life. The kind of love that it takes to say yes to organ donation and to help save the lives of children who are waiting on the organ transplant list for a second chance at life. Currently, there are over 100,000 men, women, and children waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. Organ donation saves lives. It saved my life, and it saves the lives of millions of people. For more information, please visit our website at abouttransplantlife.com. Hey everyone, it's Miss Vinnie. Welcome to About Transplant Life, where we share incredible stories to educate, empower, and inspire everyone to say yes to organ donation. Today, I am pleased to introduce to you my dear friend, Jasmine Le Shea, a double heart transplant recipient with a powerful story that you don't want to miss. This is the story of Jasmine Le Shea, an aspiring Christian musician who received her first transplanted heart at the young age of 15 due to congestive heart failure. And 12 years later, beautiful Jasmine found herself in need of a second heart transplant. But that never stopped her from pursuing her dreams. She says that God has been better than good to her, and she is here to talk about it. Hey, Jasmine.
And hello, everyone.
Oh my goodness, we did it.
Thank God.
I know, right? You look absolutely radiant. I'm so happy to have met you. I'm a big fan of yours now.
Likewise. I will be in your inbox.
So, what state are you in?
I'm in Tennessee.
She's in Tennessee, everyone, and this is Jasmine Le Shea. So tell us, who is Jasmine Le Shea?
I am the daughter of Cynthia and James. I am a 37-year-old aspiring singer, real estate investor, and two-time heart transplant recipient.
2 hearts. Girl. Wow. That's incredible. That makes you a transplant life warrior for real.
My cousin, every time I say two-time heart transplant recipient, he says it makes me sound like a heavyweight champion of the world.
That's right. That's right.
2 times.
That's right. You are.
Thank you.
At the young age of 15, you began having some health challenges. Tell us about that.
It was my sophomore year in high school. I remember I just joined the color guard, and I had gone out on the field one day and tossed my flag and felt like I could not move to go get it. Eventually I could move. People helped me off the field, and it just seemed like a random out of the blue thing. But as time passed, the fatigue, like our beautiful sister Peggy mentioned, the fatigue just kept getting worse. Eventually I couldn't go from one room to the other without help. I couldn't lay down flat at night because I was coughing up water. So it went from 2 pillows to 3 to 4 until I laid straight up. And eventually that turned into an ER visit where my mom was informed at first that I had pneumonia. Then they went back and did some more testing and came back to share with her that it was congestive heart failure.
Wow. And see, I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure at the age of 35, but you were only 15 years old.
Yeah.
So how did this diagnosis affect you and your family? Because you were so young.
So the rest of my life, I didn't seem to have any heart problems. I'd always struggled with headache and a little more, and I moved a little slower than others, but I thought that was because I was overweight, right? And the doctors had no idea where the headaches came from. But when this diagnosis happened, I was already ill, right? I mean, it was apparent something was really wrong. So it affected us such that we knew that there was a longer road ahead than we imagined.
Yeah. And what about school? You were out of school, right?
I was out of school for in the beginning as they did more testing and tried to revive the heart for to see if it could function again on its own well. And then as time went by and things for the transplant started to take place, I was back in school from the hospital bed. My teachers, everybody was supportive, and they sent my work to me.
So you were doing your schoolwork in the hospital.
I worked in the hospital on school.
You told me a story about this joy stealing nurse. Tell everybody about what you told me about that nurse you was talking about the other day.
Yes. So while I was hospitalized in St. Petersburg, Florida, I was still a happy kid. I can't explain it other than God granted me joy in the midst of what I was going through. And a nurse came into my room one day, me being my happy self. Hey, how you doing? And she said, "Oh my goodness, you must be in denial." And I'm 15, so I didn't quite wrap my head around it the way I can now. But I was like, "No, I'm not." And she said, "Do you know what's going on?" "Yes, ma'am, I do." And she said, "No, you've got to be in denial then." I said, "No, what God has for me is for me."
That's right.
Which was like an amazing Fred Hammond song that I was in love with, but the lyrics really meant to me at that time, and still, that I trusted God with my outcome, whether it looked like me still being here on earth or me being in heaven with him.
And see, that's why I wanted you to share that story, because so many people, while they're going through this valley, this journey, they allow fear and depression to torment them. But you have to know that the joy of the Lord is your strength, right? That's so important to know, that you are a child of the Most High, and that He promised that He would never leave you and He would never forsake you, no matter what you're going through. And so that's why I wanted you to share that story, because He truly gave you peace, right? That surpassed all understanding, and she couldn't even understand it. She was like, "What's going on in here? You supposed to be in here dying and crying,
not laughing and my joy." She came in to steal the joy. God said no.
We trample on joy stealers in Jesus' name. So when did you receive your first heart transplant?
You said when or where?
When? What day?
It was in February 2001.
Because you told me,
2001.
You were only on the list for like a week. Is that true?
1 week.
That's incredible.
Everybody who has some insight into how long transplant recipients tend to wait for an organ was floored.
I was floored because I waited for 6 months, 23 days in ICU. So when you told me 1 week, I was like, that is a miracle.
Yeah.
That is truly a
My
miracle.
goodness. In ICU, that gets me every time.
Yes, yes.
I don't think I was in ICU during my wait ever.
Under constant
And I've been
supervision.
there, so I know that's rough.
It was, but the Lord was with me every step of the way.
Yes, He was.
So 12 years later, you found out that you would need a second heart transplant. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I thrived for most of the 12 years that I had that heart. I had some setbacks, maybe about 4 years in and out of the hospital, but I had another great 8 years. And then what appeared to be suddenly, or what felt like suddenly, I got really, really tired again. And I didn't immediately recognize it as the fatigue I had when I needed the first heart transplant.
Right.
I'm thinking, all right, it's something that I'm eating, not sleeping enough. It's something that I'm doing or not doing, until I just could not figure out anything. And the fatigue got so bad that I was sleeping at times I just shouldn't have been. And that's when, I was in the hospital for testing, and a social worker came to inform me. Let me say this first. They tried ablation, which is like a shock to the heart to get the electrical function to go back to normal. They tried stents to unclog the arteries. These are things that happen to the heart when its function is declining for some people. And those things didn't work, so they informed me that I would need to go back on the heart transplant list, which shocked me tremendously. I don't think I had wrapped my head around the idea that a second one could even be needed,
Right.
Yeah.
Who thinks that, right? We just want to live with that one heart, and then especially after all you went through with the first one. So it's like, here we go again. But once again, the Lord was with you. And something amazing happened through a fundraiser by a Christian hip hop artist. Tell us about that.
Yeah, can't express my gratitude enough every time I talk about it. I'm so excited. But Christian hip hop artist KB had his first record on Reach Records, for his first album, and he wrote a song in part about me. So it was in part about me and in part about another brother of ours who had brain surgery. And the song is entitled Heart Song. He used that song and allowed me to speak at the end of his music video to raise money for my heart transplant. And in total, we raised about $50,000 for that second heart. And I again, like I said, I'll be forever grateful, which also makes me have to insert that my mom and dad did something. It wasn't through a music video, but they pulled all the churches in the greater Tampa Bay area, and they fundraised for me during my first transplant. So I've been extremely blessed in that way both times.
The saints came together and they showed out, huh?
Both times.
That's a blessing. It is the power of prayer and the grace of God and the goodness of his people that keeps us alive and keeps us going in time of need. That is such a wonderful thing. Yeah. And so what year did you receive your second heart transplant?
2013. So the next month will mark my 10th year with this second transplanted heart. Woo!
Yay! And we just declare, honey, that you're going to have many, many more years with that second transplanted heart. We ain't trying to do it 3 times. Okay?
Please, Lord.
That heart is going to function in divine order for this day forward. Yeah. Because you have so many great things to do. So tell us about, what's next for Jasmine Le Shea. I know you are an anointed psalmist and singer and songwriter. So tell us about that.
Well, thank you so much for the kind compliment. I aim to release a single this summer entitled, I don't know if you can see it, Did It Break Me?
Didn't break me. Oh, you got the t-shirt.
I got the t-shirt on. So that'll be available when the song comes out. But yeah, if you will stay in touch with me, I'd love for you to hear the song and even participate by sharing what tried to take you out but didn't break
us about it. What inspired you to write that song?
Well, I normally do write my songs, but this one is written by a wonderful brother named Terrell Burt. And he would have to tell you his full inspiration behind it, but I can say what it means to me is that whereas I was tired, my pace was slowed, Jesus came and gave me a fresh wind, a wind that, you know, when it felt like I was going to break, I didn't.
Yeah, he'll keep you in perfect peace when it looks impossible, because there's nothing impossible for the Lord. And I can't talk about it enough, and I know you feel the same way. I know that I would not be alive if it were not for the grace and mercy of God and the generous gift of my organ donor. And God created the donor, so how about that?
And the surgeon.
And the surgeon. How about that? We're going to give him his glory.
Yes.
I'm so excited to meet you, and I'm so happy that you are doing well. You know, things got a little rough for you, you know, throughout your life, but you're still here. You still standing. It didn't break you, as you say in the song.
It didn't break me.
And so there are over 100,000 people waiting on the transplant list in America right now. What would you say to those people? Because I always say that waiting is the hardest part, even though you didn't wait that long. I'm gonna throw you some shade about that.
I got some other things I'm waiting for, but yes.
But you feel me, right? You know that, you know, waiting is the hardest part, and not knowing, you know, where your help is gonna come from. Tell the people where their help is coming from.
That's exactly where I was about to start, and that's the thing. Knowing where your help comes from does wonders for you when you are in waiting. Not to say that there won't be times of crying and sadness, but knowing where your help comes from keeps hope alive, right? And hope just gives you motivation to move a little bit more than maybe yesterday, to maybe cry a little bit less than you did yesterday, and to remember that God provides, that God loves you. He will never leave or forsake you, as you said earlier. And if we keep that in mind, again, the tears will get less, the joy will become more. It may take time, but believe it, and it will happen.
And that's the key, right? To believe it.
To believe it.
And never ever doubt. Never allow your fears to be spoken words out of your mouth. That is so important. The words that we say, they have power.
That is hard, but true.
Yeah, that's very true. And so you are a young woman who has such great wisdom. And I truly, truly thank God for connecting us in this divine way. And I expect great things from you, Jasmine Le Shea. And I know that
thank you, sis.
We'll be hearing that name more and more. Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
I just want to say thank you for connecting with me. Again, I think this is going to be a beautiful relationship. It's been a pleasure to meet your audience and share. And hey, may God continue to pump these tickers and give us
girl, that's right.
and give us great life.
Give us great life. Yep, I was trying to see if anybody had any questions for Jasmine. Does anyone want to ask Jasmine a question before we go? I think they're all so amazed by your story, and you know, and just rejoicing with you for many, many more years of life. So thank you, Jasmine Le Shea, for joining me.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And I will talk to you soon.
All right. Take care. Miss Vinnie, you have shown out, Miss Lady. So I'm showing out too by saying thank you publicly for sending me this beautiful enhanced photo of me. That is actually a card. Man, it's so touching. She's got a picture of me on the inside after my second transplant in 2013, and then a beautiful note thanking me for being on her platform and blessing me and my family. And she's Miss Vinnie, a heart transplant survivor, a thriver, and her platform is About Transplant Life. If you want to learn more about her or other transplant recipients and how they experienced that situation, About Transplant Life with Miss Vinnie. And thank you so much.
Hey everyone, it's Miss Vinnie. You know, April is National Donate Life Month. And during this month, we honor all who have given the gift of life through organ, eye, and tissue donation. When someone is in need of a life-saving organ transplant, love rushes in to rescue them. The kind of love that it takes to be a dedicated medical professional and fight to help others survive. The kind of love that it takes to be a living kidney donor, like Cedric Halbert, who generously gave his brother Ernest a kidney to save his life. The kind of love that it takes to say yes to organ donation and to help save the lives of children who are waiting on the organ transplant list for a second chance at life. Currently, there are over 100,000 men, women, and children waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. Organ donation saves lives. It saved my life, and it saves the lives of millions of people. For more information, please visit our website at abouttransplantlife.com.
Got on Gucci shoes.
Oh, yeah. She's a Gucci girl.
I am so blessed to be here, and for you guys to be here is so important to me. You know, 10 years ago, I was lying in a hospital bed. I just had heart transplant surgery. And the Lord gave me a vision for this very day. He started talking to me about interviewing people, you know, and talking to patients and sharing my story. I had no idea what he was talking about. I just started thinking about these things, right? And lo and behold, here we are. And the Lord took me on this amazing journey when I became a One Legacy ambassador. And I learned how to share my story. I always get teared up when I talk about this. And they taught me so many things I needed to know, you know, how to present myself, how to speak, you know, how to share my story, how to raise awareness about the importance of organ, eye, and tissue donation. And so that's why for these first two shows here at Pasadena Media, I wanted to honor One Legacy and these very special people that literally saved my life. Because when I became a One Legacy ambassador, I didn't know how I was going to survive as a heart transplant recipient. I had no clue. And then I met all of these amazing people who were just like me, heart recipients, kidney recipients, donor families. And we are a very, very special community. And I want to do everything within my power to let people know how important it is to say yes to organ donation, because it saves lives. It saved my life. It saved my friend Simone's life, right? And there's so many of us who are having a second chance at life because of the work that they do at One Legacy. And they take it very, very seriously. So thank you for being here. We're going to get started in a